Hey, a brand new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast is about to begin. It's time to be inspired by simple and actionable solutions for you and your business. If you're an established entrepreneur or just laying down the first brick of your future empire, the mantra is the same. We will flip any failure into a positive and use it to our advantage. This show is all about turning coal into diamonds. With the right plan and mindset, anything is possible. I'm Jennifer Dawn, your host, business coach, and founder of Best Planner Ever, and I'm here to help you achieve all your ambitious goals. Success is closer than you think. Let's do this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's Happy Productive. I think you're going to love this conversation. I know I'm really excited for it. I have today as a special guest, Tony Wang. Welcome, Tony.
Hi, Jennifer. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You guys, Tony is a business coach and mentor who helps business leaders and entrepreneurs redesign their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs in order to create a more fulfilling life. And obviously, it should be no surprise why I would want to have Tony on the show, because this is the stuff that is like my jam. Tony helps his clients overcome their negative mental patterns and unconscious self-sabotaging patterns to achieve more success and happiness in their lives. So the Happy Productive Podcast, Tony, you're in the right place. I love talking about all this stuff. And to kick us off, why don't you just start with a quick little, just give us a minute or two into how you came to do this work and how you started your business.
Yeah, 2 minutes. That's going to be hard, but I'll do my best.
3. You can have 3.
I'll try 2.5. Yeah, so I was always kind of entrepreneurially minded. So after college, I just didn't do anything with my chemistry degree. I just jumped right into starting my own business full time. I had some money saved up and just went straight in. I figured, hey, if I work, 8 to 10 hours a day, I'm going to figure it out eventually. Like I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured I'll figure it out. But 1.5 years went by. I didn't really figure it out. I made some money where I was able to pay for my rent and my food, but that was pretty much it. And I was so stressed, so burned out from struggling, thinking, oh, did I make the wrong choice here? Maybe I should have saved up more. Maybe I should have gotten a job. That I actually got sick and I went to the hospital. I was diagnosed with a chronic gut inflammatory illness where stress is one of the major causes. Terrible experience. I looked like a skeleton after I got out of the hospital. Yeah, just horrible. But that was a pivotal moment for me because it really made me reflect, not just what I was doing externally, but my mental, emotional state, everything just down to my core, like knowing the root cause was something deeper, not just, what I'm doing tactically, but my mindset, my beliefs, my emotions, my past experiences, all those things. So that's when I started taking my, I guess you can call it mental, emotional health very seriously and just started digging for unconscious patterns that could have been holding me back. And I worked with a coach who specializes in a very interesting quote unquote therapy. It's like alternative, which is called PEAT. No one's probably heard of it, but it's like more evolved EFT.
Okay.
In a sense. So it really, I just loved it because I read the creator's work and he had he was a very prolific author and researcher, clinical psychologist, and it just really resonated with me. And after a couple of coaching sessions with her, I felt like a completely different, I felt a huge shift where, everything was still kind of the same, but my outlook was different. And then within 3 or 4 months, everything just exploded. My income went up 10x. I made 6 figures that year. It was like a dream of mine, going from sleeping on a mattress in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate to, having 6-figure income. And I thought wow, I really made it. And then after that, I went on to just really double down on business, which was what I was passionate about, performance marketing. And I grew a $25 million advertising company, did that until COVID. And then around COVID, that's when I started getting burnt out. And I realized that I was too attached to this concept of success and external success. And even though I had pretty much everything that I wanted, I wasn't happy. I wasn't really fulfilled. So that's when I, again, went back inward, this time with the help of some plants to really, really, kind of find out who I am. I know that's a little cliche, but just go on that inward journey.
Mhm.
And then I focused really heavily on spirituality for a while, and just really gave me some insights into life, that it's not all about just material success, and it's not all about just being 100% spiritual either. It's kind of like you need both, because this is the universe we live in. So now I mentor other entrepreneurs who are kind of on the same path and want to use some of these tools to quickly unblock themselves, taking what I've learned in my own journey.
Ugh, I love this so much. It sounds a lot like my journey as well. And I think that you get to a point where something, burned out, maybe a divorce, maybe a diagnosis, something can happen where you just are like, wait a second, like I got to change up how I'm doing things here. And I
Yeah.
love that you went inward, because that's really where all the work is within ourselves. And this is one of the things that in our coaching practice and the clients that we work with, even though we're not necessarily like advertising this, because we're business coaches, right? And so people are like, hey, I want to grow my business. And they think that it's all this tactical stuff. Oh, you got to build your list and you do email marketing and social media and all this stuff. But the truth is that it's really the internal work, which we pair both of these together. And the way I explain it is, guys, we have to do the emotional work and then we can do the tactical work, and the two go together. You're not going to have one without the other, or certainly you're not going to be as effective or get the results that you want if you don't have one without the other. So I'd love that you're here today, because the emotional stuff is my favorite work to do. Like, the tactical, I'm like, okay, fine. Like, we have all that stuff and my team can, explain it all and how it all works. But the emotional work is really where I love that space, because when you can help a business owner change their beliefs, change their story, push past their fears, heal their pain. And guys, we all have it at some level, at some point. There's no way to escape being a human and not have some kind of wounding or some kind of pain. If you can help them overcome that, they can go out into the world and they can just do amazing things. This is how I like to say I'm changing the world, one entrepreneur at a time, is just by helping them get past some of this stuff. So first, I would love to hear, like, at what point did the light bulb go on that actually this isn't the external stuff, this is internal work that I need to do on myself? What did that look like? Yeah, what did that look like for you?
For me, it was plant medicines that really helped me,
Mm-hmm.
particularly a one called iboga, which not many people have heard of. They call it the grandfather of plant medicines. So I've never done ayahuasca, but some people that have expect iboga to be this like gentle ride, loving, like you're one with the universe, all of that. But it can feel like the opposite, just like life slapping you in the face, telling you like this is where you're messing up. Just like a stern masculine like father figure.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really that experience, just like going inside and just seeing how my past patterns created the present, just really deep inside of my own mind, was able to shed a lot of light on, yeah, the patterns that were playing out and why I wasn't feeling fulfilled. Because fulfillment doesn't come from the outside; it comes from inside, and we sometimes strive for external success, or we want our lives to be a certain way because of some wounding that we have from the past that we're trying to cover up instead of addressing it directly. So that was one of my takeaways. And yeah, just really grateful I learned that lesson, because I was at a point where I had pretty much everything I wanted, but I kept wanting more because I felt like, I just wasn't happy.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a pattern, and pick one, but was there a pattern in particular that you can look and say, oh, when I identified this pattern and then I broke it, this was what happened as a result of, like, interrupting or breaking that pattern?
Yeah, I would say one of my patterns was just, I'm very like competitive, but not overtly, like inwardly. Like, so one of my motivations in my performance marketing business was just hearing about other people's successes and then me being like, I want to be better than that.
Mm.
And it's good for motivation, but there's a point where I'm perfectly happy and I don't need to work 10 hours a day anymore. But that part is still that, like, pattern, that identity of wanting to be the best, just to be superior to someone else, was still playing out, and that was affecting my relationships, my health, my business decisions. So that's something that once I overcame it, now it's just like I'm just happy being me because that's really all I can be. And if I want to achieve something, like I want to have a good reason for it, not just not just something more superficial.
Right, right. And so now in your current business, and I think it's a newer business now with the coaching, right? So now you're actually coaching other business owners and leaders on how to do this work for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So I help entrepreneurs. They may not have the same intention, like the more like I want to like heal my wounds or something like
Oh
that.
yeah. They never, Tony, they never come in going, I want to heal my wounds.
Right? Yeah,
they come in going, help me make more money, help me work less hours. It's like, all
exactly.
right, guess what? We're going to have to heal some shit if you want that to happen. But they never come in with, will you please
Yep.
help me heal my wounds?
Yeah, exactly. And I was the same way. Like the reason I got into this, I just wanted to make some money and heal my body. That's it.
Uh-huh.
And I never thought about any of this. But now I see they're the same. Like this journey of accomplishment and success and spirituality. They're one and the same to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, exactly. I help business owners, solve their problems, but at a level deeper than, oh, this is the marketing funnel you should use.
Mhm.
Basically, diagnosing the root cause and addressing that. Whether it's a lot of times it's just procrastination, resistance, and then there's a lot there, like either a belief about themselves that they're not they can't do something well, past traumas, experiences, and then that's what we work with.
Oh, I love this. And guys who are listening, girls who are listening, please know I am not poo pooing achievement. I love achievement. I love getting out there. I love go after your goals, like live the life you want to lead. But there's a lot that goes along with that sometimes that needs to be unpacked. And I think sometimes it can become almost an addiction, this just like drive to succeed and be better and the next goal and the next goal. And then I think that when you get to a place where it really starts to affect you physically, you start to realize, wait a second, like I'm really not living the life I want to live. My business now feels like a prison. Like there's all these things that can happen along the way. And so, with the business owners that you work with, like what would you say is one of the number one pain points that they come to you with that you help them work through and kind of unpack?
I would say there's a handful. There's maybe like two or three,
Hmm.
and sometimes it starts off with a business thing, and then the rest of our sessions they just turn into completely other random topics. I think they realize like, oh wait, I can apply this to other issues in my life. Like screw this business stuff, I'm good there. Let's work on this and this.
Yeah.
But I would say imposter syndrome, unworthiness. That's one for entrepreneurs that have reached a level of success. They still feel like they're still not qualified.
Mhm.
They're just not good enough. They're not really happy with their progress, even though they've come such a long way.
Mhm.
Another one is procrastination, which I look at procrastination as there's two sides. There's resistance to doing something you don't want to do, but then there's also the guilt of not doing it and then feeling shitty about yourself, and that kind of perpetuates the cycle.
Mhm.
So that's how we work on that one. And yeah, I'd say those are two of the common ones.
Yeah, we see that a lot. Heck, as an entrepreneur, I've experienced all of those things. And so if you're listening to this show right now and you're like, hey, you're aligning with this, like, that's me. I felt the procrastination. I bumped up against that resistance. If that is you, so where do you recommend, Tony, that somebody starts? Like they're hearing this and they're going, oh, they're getting an inkling of like, maybe it's not just that tactical thing. Maybe it's not just driving myself crazy and driving to that next goal. Maybe there's something deeper here that I need to explore. Like what would you suggest as like a first step for somebody who maybe wants to start to explore more of this internal world?
Yeah, I would say a really good first step is to, it sounds really, simple, but be aware of your emotional state as you think about a problem. And that's how I start all of the sessions, all the processes that we do. We always start with a specific problem. Like when I want to, do this, I find myself not being able to follow through. And then there's an emotion there. Let's say it's resistance.
Mhm.
And then just the first step is usually getting people to accept that resistance is there and not resisting the resistance. And then just kind of processing it, just being okay with it, feeling it, being present. Like there's a saying like feeling is healing. And I really
Mm-hmm.
think that is the first step. I think there's a lot more to that. There's you can go really deep with that, but the first step is just to acknowledge, accept that, there's something that's not ideal for you. Because if you keep resisting it, if you keep pushing it away, it's not going to get solved.
Yeah, agree completely. One of the ways, and I love that you're talking about this because it's so in alignment with the clients that we work with and what we do as well. In that, like sometimes we feel something, and so identifying that emotion, what is it that I'm actually feeling? So I woke up today, and let's say I'm tired, right? We will put this extra layer of junk on top of that. It's like, well, now I'm angry that I'm not tired and I
Yeah.
wish I wasn't tired and I'm resentful that I'm tired and then we start beating ourselves up and it's almost like if we can just allow ourselves to feel that emotion, to feel that feeling and be okay with it, like just that is such a powerful practice. I find that when I'm feeling whatever it is that I'm feeling, not adding that whole extra layer of junk on top of it because now I got to deal with the emotion and then I got to deal with all the junk that I'm putting on top of it. And it just makes it so much harder to kind of get at the core when we're beating ourselves up and we're adding a bunch of other negative emotions on top of it. At least that's what I see, or how I kind of, when I work with my
Yeah.
clients, of how I help them to understand that it's like, okay, whatever you're feeling is what you're feeling, but let's not add that secondary layer of junk on top of it.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. One, I guess, parable or analogy from, I believe, the Buddha. He says, whenever we suffer misfortune, there's two arrows that come flying at us. The first arrow we can't avoid. That's just the situation. It's painful. It sucks. But the second arrow is our thoughts, feelings, perceptions about the first. And that one is avoidable. But a lot of people don't realize that, or they don't make an effort to avoid that. And then they get hit by two arrows, which makes the suffering more.
That is a much more profound and beautiful way of explaining it. I love it, right? I love that visualization of the two
Yeah.
arrows. And the first one you can't avoid, but the second one you can. And it's within your choice if you want to avoid that second arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this so much. This is probably my favorite space to play in. Is just I don't know if it's because through my own life I had a lot of abuse and stuff that I had to overcome, and I've done so much of this healing work on myself. And seeing like the results from it, when you really start to do this work, you learn how to process and manage your emotions, you can navigate through life without trauma triggers, which I dealt with for years. It does feel like you just get to spread your wings and fly, and you can be whoever you want to be. And it's such a beautiful thing. And even as you just navigate the day to day and people say and do dumb shit, and it just doesn't really bother you anymore. You can just sort of
Yeah.
navigate through all of it. And it just becomes like this beautiful thing. And you start to really appreciate life, I think, on a whole different level. And it, kind of
Yeah.
getting past that whole like day to day survival thing, and you really start to thrive.
Yeah. It's the truest level of freedom. If
Yeah.
people, like, I used to think like if I had a lot of money or status, I would have more freedom, but really it's just about the emotional side and not getting triggered by things that I would normally used to react to. And having gone through this journey, I will say, like, I used to think it was kind of like a cult, because not like a cult, but people always talk about it, like how important healing is, how it's important to be in touch with your emotions, all of that, and I just didn't really get it. And I had a friend who invited me to like a workshop he was doing, and he was saying like, yeah, and he was in a similar profession before. We both did performance marketing, and he was like, yeah, like, we did a lot of this stuff before in the past, and it was cool, but like this is the shit. And I just like didn't get it at the time, but now I'm just like, yeah, this is the shit. It's awesome, and it's just so freeing.
Yeah.
Is how I would describe it. Not wanting fulfillment from outside things.
It's so true. Like I had to find it as well. Like all of the, the healing stuff and the it goes back to childhood. Like I didn't want to hear any of that either in my earlier years. And now looking back, I realized, I mean, my survival mechanism was to be busy, to stay busy, and which is very socially acceptable. So it felt good, it fed my ego of like, look how busy and important I am. And it's just a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap. And I think one day when you get to that point where you start to realize all the material stuff, all the success, it's not the fulfillment that you're seeking. And the only way to find that truly is to go internal and start to do that inside work on you. That's there's nowhere else you can go externally. It might be short-lived, but if you don't do the inside stuff, it's not really going to last.
Yeah, totally. One, I guess, model that I kind of look at the world now or look at my personality is the idea of identities. And it just put a lot of pieces together. And basically, how the reason we are the way we are, the reason our personality is a certain way, or we go into these patterns, or we do certain things, see certain things, feel certain things, is to fulfill the goals of an identity. And that identity, let's say it's like, let's say a victim. I had some horrible things happen, and then I take on the identity of a victim. It doesn't mean that's who I really am at my core, because if we want to get super spiritual, we're not even like humans, man or woman. We're just pure awareness, consciousness, whatever. So taking on the identity of a victim, there is a benefit to that. I receive empathy from others. I get to feel better about my situation because it wasn't my fault. And people take on that identity for a while, and then they realize it's kind of hindering because there's also constraints to that. So then they have to kind of drop that and then take on a new one that's more empowering for what they want at the time. So, and we have like thousands of these identities that we're shifting through depending on our goal. And it's not like one is bad, one is good. It's just, is this helping me fulfill the goal that I want? Because if something really bad happened and I want support, I'm going to be a victim. So it's not like you can never be this, you can always be this, but just thinking like, what do I want to create and what are the best identities to be in order to create that? And then there's going to be identities that are kind of stuck. Like if I want to be let's say a public speaker, but I have this unconscious identity of a reserved, shy person because I was like teased or whatever, like that's going to be in conflict. So that's something where if you notice that, to be able to release that so you can achieve your goal of being a public speaker.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. And for everyone listening, I know this is helping so many people right now. Like, this is deep work. And Tony, I've heard you say that you worked with other coaches that helped you through this. I know you and I are both coaches and we are helping others through this kind of stuff. And I really want to encourage everybody, like, find your coach, find your healer, find your therapist, find your whoever that can help guide you through this stuff. Because when you start looking at your identities, you start looking at, wounding. When you start looking at this stuff, it can be deep, it can be painful, it can be a very difficult space to manage and to navigate through if you don't really know, like, yeah, I tried to work on myself and it was, overwhelming or frustrating, or I didn't know what to do. Get some help with it. There are so many really talented, qualified, amazing coaches, mentors, therapists, they come in all different shapes and forms out there. And I would just love to hear your thought on that, Tony. Like somebody who maybe wants to do this work, should they try to go at it by themselves, or do you recommend that they try to actually find somebody qualified who can help them to navigate this internal space?
Yeah. So the work that I do specifically, it is possible to do on yourself, but depending on your situation and like if it's really difficult for you to function, or you just have a lot going on, it's going to be really hard to do it on yourself. And you're absolutely right. Getting a coach is really the best way because you don't have to think about how to do it. It's just like receiving it, and you have their presence, their support, they're holding space for you. So it makes the journey a lot easier. And I do think once you get to a certain point and learn some of the tools, then you can, as you gain more awareness, you can start kind of doing more self inner work because you've gone through the process, you're familiar with it. So you can kind of use like one part of your brain to kind of be the facilitator, the coach, and then the other part to receive and go through the practices. But at the beginning, if you're new to this, getting a coach will speed up your progress so many times.
I agree completely. Guys, stop suffering. Stop suffering alone. There are people out there who can help you. And if you're struggling to break through to that, whatever your definition of the next level is, there are people that can help you do this, but truly, truly break through so that you can really find greater happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, and just a general love of life. So, Tony, thank you so much for being here with me today. I love talking about this stuff. I could just go like on and on and on. But tell me a little bit about, or tell everybody who's listening about where they can find you if they'd like to find out more about the amazing work that you do.
Yeah, so my website is tonywang.gg, and you can reach out there to join my email list. And from there, you'll get tips from me. I'm talking a lot about marketing these days, helping experts basically grow their online businesses. But just because, this is such a deep part of who I am, like a lot of the emails will about the inner work stuff as well.
Very nice. Awesome, Tony. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You guys get on Tony's website, check him out, doing some great work here in the world. So if you want to find out more, it's tonywang.gg, right? Not .com, .gg.
Working on the .com. It's a common name, unfortunately.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, you guys. So many amazing little tidbits from today's show. I hope you take something that you've heard today and take action on it. That's the only way that it's really going to make an impact in your life. And that's it for today. You guys now just get out there and have a happy, productive day. Bye, y'all. I hope you found today's episode of the Happy Productive Podcast inspiring. Every successful business is formed by a set of small, consistent, and attainable steps. If you want to learn more, come visit us at jenniferdawncoaching.com to take your next step and learn how to meet your business goals. On our website, you're going to find free resources along with links to the life-changing coaching programs that have transformed the lives of so many of our clients, including the Coaching Academy and our Unbreakable retreats. Many of them started their journey by listening to this podcast. That's it. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for our next episode.